What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist joined with
Gershwan.
not literally, but physically.
Physically.
And today we're back at it to answer more questions in another episode of For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put question in front of your question because we get those questions first. And tell your friends to subscribe because it's a brand new channel. And we have questions to answer. And this question that I'm going to answer is going to be brought to you by Connor Ostus. If the Emperor became a Chaos God, would the Word Bearers worship him as part of Chaos Undivided?
So that's a very interesting question, and I think we've got some recent insight into it because in our other channel, the OMS podcast, we did a read through of Lorgar, Bearer of the Word, and it really shows you just how much Lorgar needs something to believe in, something to praise and worship. And for the longest time, he was praising the powers, which was the Chaos Gods.
Yeah.
And then he started praising the Emperor. And after the Emperor said no, and I'm going to teach you a lesson, he went back to praising the Chaos Gods. So now, if the Emperor became this fifth Chaos God, technically he's still part of the pantheon of the Chaos Gods. So would Lorgar worship him? Probably not.
Yeah, no. Even though I feel that with Lorgar, he doesn't, like, Lorgar and the Word Bearers are two separate things. I feel that Lorgar worshipped the Emperor because he saw visions. There's prognostication was one of his powers, and he saw the Emperor coming to him. He saw him as a golden thing, and he was influenced by Corpheron to believe that kind of stuff. But Corpheron didn't believe in the Emperor; he believed in the Chaos Gods.
Right.
So now you fast forward to now, where the Emperor or where Lorgar is still pushing for the Lectitio Divinatis, so wanting to make the Emperor a god. But then at the same time hating him because he's chaos and he's chaos undivided. And then you have the Word Bearers who are being led not by Lorgar, but by Corpheron and Erebus, who have already planted the seed of worship chaos undivided. So if the Emperor became a god, would he be part of chaos undivided? I don't really even know.
Yeah, because right now the whole thing, it's he's the Dark King. He's the fifth Chaos God. He's going to have his own legion of demons. And we see this with Samus in the 30K era. So it's I don't know, because I feel like it's still the Emperor. So it's going to be different than Khorne, Slanesh, Nurgle.
Yeah, and I think this is one of those examples that Games Workshop is writing the story as they go along and really stepping on their own feet, basically. Because now, if he does become a god, which is the assumption and which is what we're being told, there's going to be more problems than answers, I feel.
Yeah.
And there's no real way to know what GW is going to do, or even know based on the previous information, because they don't know.
Yeah, I think if anything, Lorgar might ally himself with the undivided portion of the Emperor, if that makes sense, but still not praise the Emperor.
That would be crazy if we had the Emperor become a god, and then we have an army of the light, but then we have chaos in the army of the light, which is trippy because you're supposed to have humanity and chaos humanity, but now you're gonna have humanity, chaos humanity, and rebellious, humanity.
It's weird. It's so trippy, but at the same time, it's the warp. It's kind of supposed to be. Yeah. So I don't know. It's very interesting to see how they play that card, and it'd be really crazy if the Emperor makes Lorgar one of his disciples or something like that.
He goes full chaos, I am a god, and then turns him into a demon prince of the God of Order. Yeah. Yeah, or God of Light, whatever it is.
Whatever they end up calling it.
That'd be really cool. We'll see what happens, though.
Yeah.
That's a good question. It makes you, sit there and wonder. What is Games Workshop going to do? Nobody knows. Next question.
This one's by Herman. Okay, so I have two big ones. Two big questions, that is. Some figurines in the tabletop were too powerful, so GW discontinued them, like the Dreadnoughts or the vehicles. They just stopped talking about it in the books as well, just leaving a whole hole in the lore. The excuse is we have lost that pattern, but that's just lame. So why is it that GW tends to discontinue things and not really explain it to the fullest?
So I don't think Games Workshop created Legends, so in other words, got rid of those models that you're talking about because they weren't, or because they were too strong, or because of anything like that. I think it just has to do with production.
Yeah.
The kit probably didn't sell as much as, you know, selling 5 Kroot for $60. So then I think that's the real reason.
Not just that, but we're also seeing that they're getting better at making more detailed sculpts. So if you look at the newer sculpts paired with the older sculpts, it's like, yeah, they don't look as good. There's a difference in like size and scale. So it's like everything eventually will be getting a revamp.
Yeah.
Just like imagine if we're still playing with metal models mixed in with Space Marines, mixed in with Primaris Marines, the whole army is just going to look off.
Yeah. Or even just like the staticness of the old models in comparison to now.
Mm-hmm.
Because you look at the old Space Marines, they all just had the gun, the bolter to their chest. That's it. And then now you have so many like ways you can twist it and stuff like that. Unless you do the easy fit, but then that's different.
Right. And then the whole green stuff and doing things to make the model more dynamic, conversions. So yeah, there's a lot you can do now.
I still think for conversions, my favorite YouTuber is Pete the Wargamer. Even his Instagram is full of like some dope ass stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Next question.
Oh, he's got a part 2.
Okay.
This one's about time travel and distance. So, for example, ships make it to their destination in days, sometimes weeks, sometimes they get lost and they take years, sometimes never. The only explanation is warp stuff. However, I need a better answer to this. Can you guys help me out?
Yeah, so you're not, when ships go into the warp, they're not traveling in a linear way like we do here, because the warp is not linear.
Yeah, there's no time and space in the warp. It just kind of is.
Yeah. And there's no way we could explain it because it's unfathomable to our minds. It takes a navigator, which has a special mutation to see the ebb and flow of the warp. So it's almost like, yeah, like it's just made up. Like, I mean, it's made up in the lore, but like to humans there, there's no way to understand it.
So think of like you just took acid or some psychedelic and you're tripping and you're trying to make sense of what's going on. And then when you come to, you're like 40 years in the past.
Yes.
Where it's been like 200 years in the future. That's what it's like going into the warp, where time doesn't like go the way you think it is.
Even for a navigator, you're blacking out basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next question comes from the big one. Why do I lose more and more hope for humanity every time my mom takes me to the all-you-can-eat buffet and she makes a mountain of oily fried chicken on her plate? She makes it? Well, yeah, she makes it herself. I think, so anytime you go to a buffet, now as an adult, it's going to be shitty because buffets are not good quality food. You enjoyed it when you were a kid because you were a kid and you didn't know any better. On top of the fact that any chain restaurant, give it like 5 years and the quality goes down because of corporate greed. The best example is Chipotle. Chipotle used to be amazing. Now it sucks.
I haven't had Chipotle like that to know the before and after. I think I've only had it like twice, and I think it was with you one of those times. So, yeah, definitely I agree with that sentiment. With the whole time reduces quality.
Another example of that whole concept is Popeye's sandwich.
Oh, God, dude. The sandwich was amazing.
Beyond amazing. And nobody knew about it. It was cool. Sunday with the boys, we would go to Popeye's and enjoy that thing. And then it got popular. Mm-hmm. And then they said, we're going to discontinue it, but we're bringing it back in a little bit. They brought it back, and guess what? Trash.
Yeah. It was smaller. It didn't taste as good. People weren't dying over it anymore.
But yeah, that's just the way life is sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Things lose juice.
Which is interesting because, like, normally if something stops and comes back, you'd expect it to come back, like, better than ever. You know, version 2, I'm better than the previous version. But it doesn't always work like that.
True.
Would you say the Primaris is the former or the latter?
I feel like I'm going to contradict myself because I was talking about how you have more poses now, but I don't think so. I think with the new Primaris, you have less posing. Whereas with the old, I felt like being able to break down like more of the Space Marine was better. So modeling wise, I think I prefer the old Space Marines, not like the super old Space Marines, but before the Primaris. And then in terms of like gameplay and coolness, Primaris are cool.
Yeah. I was going to say, if you want more options for like how to sculpt a Primaris, just get a Lieutenant. There's like 30 of those.
Yeah, but the problem with the Lieutenant is that they're all fixed.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what I mean. Like, it's so annoying. Like, you need to know how to use green stuff in order to change it. Whereas back in the day, you would just get like a couple of things that were different, but then the torso, the legs were the same, and you could manipulate it a little bit better.
True.
But those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, please comment down below. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we'll talk tomorrow.
Yeah, as always, it's been the Sound Alchemist here with
First one.
and we are out of here.